Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. Before we get into this video, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel and you enjoy the videos, I'm going to be here every day. Please consider joining the little mucker army that we have here. Okay, today we're going to be making a follow-up video on Ethan Klein because he has now just made another segment on the podcast about Brooke Schofield. If you know, earlier we uploaded a video going through Ethan addressing everything that is happening with Brooke Schofield, and it was not great. It was not great in any way. Can I say something as well before we get into this? There's something so just ironic about me making videos on, if I make a video on Ethan or I make a video on Trisha, because it goes one of two ways, right? And you'll notice it in the comments, if I make a video on Trisha, the entire comments will be people being like, oh, here's Adam up H3's ass making a video on Trisha. And then when I make a video on Ethan yesterday, it was, here's Adam up Trisha's ass making a video on Ethan. I'm like, if you're gonna come for me, can you at least keep your damn story straight? It's so ironic that, like, it's been the aftermath of frenemies that if you talk about one of them, positively or negative, you will be accused of being up that one's ass or the other one's ass. And I'm like, honestly, like, both of these people to me are on the same level. Like, there's no hierarchy for Trisha or Ethan for me. I cover when they talk about things, but I can guarantee you that I am not up Trisha Paytas's ass, nor am I up Ethan Klein's ass. That's why I make videos on both of them. It is a fair grind here. And thankfully there were so many people responding to people yesterday who were like, here he goes up Trisha's ass again, making a video on Ethan. And people were like, okay, but you were the same people that was saying that he was up Trisha's ass for making a video on Ethan and Trisha for, like, keep the story straight. Anyways, the video that they did was really bad. We are going to get into the new one. The title of this one is Brooke Schofield is Not Forgiven. Now, I don't want to rehash the problems with the one that we did earlier, but basically there was a lot of forgiving her on behalf of an apology that he can't accept, number one. Also, he was really writing off a lot of things that she did without even reading them. Like, before he would read the tweets, he would be giving excuses for her, and it was just really unfair commentary. And so I'm really intrigued to see what the follow-up is, because I gave my credit where credit was due to Dan, AB, and Olivia, who were kind of giving this, like, juxtaposed, different, point of view when Ethan was, kind of defending Brooke. They were like, well, let's look at the other point of view. So I wonder what is going to happen in this one. We're going to get right into it. This is the newest H3 episode, if you want to go and check it out. Also, I really like, I don't know when they implemented this, but I really like the new background style that H3 are doing, because as the show goes on, the background gets darker, as you can see here, like the skyline. I don't know how they did that. I don't know if someone went out and filmed it for them, but it's a really nice touch, as you know when the podcast is going to end. I really like it. All right, let's get to it.
Schofield, which we talked about on Monday, was being canceled, which is, I don't know if that's the right word. She's being, like, heavily criticized, called out. It is ironic that she co-hosts a show called Canceled. Definitely getting ahead of any cancellations.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what do you expect?
When you Google
name of the show,
Google her name, Brooke Schofield cancelled. So, oh no, she just has a podcast.
I do think that is something that was really smart about the podcast. It was mainly Tana, which is ironic that if you typed in Tana Mojo canceled to, like, find a scandal, you would find her podcast before it. So they very much so jumped the gun on being able to promote their podcast when people were trying to look on reasons that they were canceled. But also something that's really ironic is because I would watch the canceled podcast, and I have said that I have really enjoyed it. Here's the thing. There were so many episodes where Tana would be being defended by Brooke by being like, I know people like to hold you on things that you did in the past, and I would get criticism for associating with you, which is so ironic now because they're both, like, Tana is getting criticism for associating with Brooke, and I'm like, do y'all realize that Tana Mojo was also called out for being racist online? Like, I think they're both on a very similar playing field now on having old racist content out there, which is something that we see with many influencers.
No biggie.
So she put out another apology. She also liked a Trump. I didn't even think that was real, but she actually did like a Trump post.
So basically, when Ethan was defending her in the podcast that we watched yesterday, I think it was Dan was like, oh, well, she just liked a Trump post. And Ethan was like, it doesn't matter. She probably liked it by accident. So I think they probably had to bring it to Ethan's attention to kind of focus on that, because it was a big part of the story that she was kind of debunking that, you know, she didn't have these views anymore, and then she liked a Donald Trump photo. God, these hoodies are really awful when you move. Like, her face just gets, like, deformed in some way.
Like, right after. That was that kind of, I was like, girl, what the fuck?
And it wasn't an accident?
No,
she addressed it?
No, she didn't
She
say it was an
addresses it.
accident. She said I was just mindlessly clicking.
yeah. Well, no, she says she saw a photo of Trump with the last person that she'd expect to see Trump with. So she was like, haha, so funny.
Yeah, she thought it was
Oh.
goofy. It was a goofy like.
That's
There was also comments.
really dumb.
I
Why
wanted
would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. There's also comments I wanted to read from last episode of people who are.
Can someone let me know? I'm very behind on H3 lore. When did Love move to America? Like, I'm so used to seeing Love in the little screen. The last time I would see would be that. So when did Love move to America?
Offering insights that I wanted to read. But in the meantime, let's look at her talking about the Trump post she liked, because that happened right the same day. I didn't even believe it. People were saying she did it. I said, there's no way that's true. There's no way that she would go like a Trump post. It's inconceivable. But she did actually do it.
Okay, before this gets any further, I have publicly stated my support for Kamala since she's been in the running, okay? And I still stand behind that. I know how stupid it looks that I liked that post today, and I literally want to kick myself in the fucking face for it, but it was, like, mindless. I literally was on an airplane, scrolling. I saw the last person in the entire world that I would think would be in the room with Trump. So I was like, this is crazy. And I liked the post. Worst timing ever. So fucking stupid.
Okay, yeah.
Not a Trump supporter. Okay, period. I am not a Trump supporter.
So this comes back now. If we're gonna draw the red strings on our conspiracy billboard, Dan was making a point. You were kept saying because
About her faking the liberal
tweet that she faked having liberal values.
I do think that that is probably one of the worst tweets that a YouTuber could have tweeted. Obviously, not in the grand scheme of things, but tweeting something like, oh, I fake liberal views, you know, because it gets me ahead in life, or whatever the tweet was, it will always come back and bite her in the ass, because now it can be applied to everything. You know, when she says I'm not a Trump supporter, people will be like, well, you tweeted that you fake liberal views for attention, basically. Or, you know, if she's, you know, acting a certain way to get out of a cancellation, people will be like, oh, well, you tweeted that you fake these kind of views. So that is quite honestly one of the worst things that a YouTuber could have tweeted, because it now will forever live with her career as this cast of doubt. And Dan kept making that point, and I thought it was such a good point. Like, it's such a bad tweet for a YouTuber to post, because it will just always be something that can be held against you.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't know if they can trust you or not.
I kept saying that was the worst one, because it will
Well, check this one out. Dan.
forever follow her.
This one is interesting. I'll say that. I'll say it.
Let's see.
So how things like socioeconomic standing, health, housing, income, and so many other things can be affected by your race.
Loud. I started faking liberal views when writing college papers, and it's so concerning how much my grades have improved since.
Ooh, that one's pretty bad.
That's like, nah.
That's just dumb. Like, that's for sure not true, by the way. You're like, oh,
But also,
this seems like a really good liberal. I'm gonna give him an A.
Yeah, and also maybe whatever the right's opinion on something might just be complete bullshit. So
She's like, I stopped writing racism. I stopped writing racist jokes about black people.
I stopped writing-
My teachers really like me a lot more now.
Writing ignorant shit and my grades
Yeah.
improved. It's crazy.
So again,
I wrote my college thesis on racial disparities.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, because again, Brooke, in talking about having grown, is focusing on this time in college when she, you know, left college, and then that's when she stopped being racist or stopped feeling these thoughts. And she talks about in college she was learning about race, but then from the similar time period, she's tweeted, "Oh, once I started faking liberal views, my grades went up." So it can just be used against her as, "Are you telling the truth?" And that will be applied throughout her entire career.
she tweeted in college like, I'm faking liberal. So,
Yeah, that's a rough one.
And then to
yeah.
and then to bust that out is like evidence of you being an out.
Yeah, it's like think about it. That's gonna make you sound sillier.
This is pretty bad.
Imagine writing your college thesis cynically about like black
And having all the data.
racism. That'd be, like,
thing to do.
twisted.
Literally having the data in front of you. You're writing about it.
Right. Very convincingly.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is all bullshit.
Yep. What?
There were some comments from black audience members who obviously we aren't black.
That may come as a shock
Shut up,
Literally.
Dan.
to the audio. That may come as a shock to the audio listeners.
I was trying to. We're not black, right, Dan?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You became a black person.
Just to be
I love that soundbite. So I wanted to, anyway, give them representation because their voice is important. So I'll read a few here. This one is from, here, let me open it so you guys can read along with me.
Sorry, you know that soundbite they just played of "She Became Black" or "She Became a Black Person" by Donald Trump? Whenever I was on the flight to Vegas, I didn't realize this. I've never seen this in a plane before, but you know the way planes will have like TVs where you can watch movies or TV shows or something? By the way, the selection on them is always terrible. The flight from LA to Vegas had one of the TVs where you could watch live TV like across America. Like I was watching Bravo for like, I don't know, like 20 minutes. And then for 20 minutes, I turned on the news and it was literally as the story was breaking of Trump being at the, what was it? The national something of black journalists, whatever the convention was. It was something along that line, but basically for black journalists, right? Trump showing up and questioning Kamala Harris's ethnicity and being like she turned black. He deserved to have tomatoes thrown at him. How are you sitting in a room of black journalists? It doesn't even matter about that. Like you could be in a room with anyone, but I'm saying specifically black journalists, and you're saying that Kamala Harris turned black. He was basically making the argument that, well, she said that she was Indian. Oh my God, Donald Trump discovers biracial people live on air. Like, what a dumb twat.
The issue you guys failed to understand is
So ignorant.
sure, she can change, good on her, whatever. But the main issue in conversation that started is how normalized it is for white influencers to have a racist pass phase as if that is normal. Why is it so normalized for them to get a pass because they're young and didn't know better? Mind you, 16 and 19 is not that young to not know better. But minorities have to always be the ones to grow up early and deal with it. Trayvon Martin tweets were so disgusting. Black children as young as 6, 8, 12 could understand the gravity of the situation, but oh, please, she's young, she gets a pass. Also, her apology was garbage overall. This quote puts this convo into perspective. While you educated yourself about unlearning racism, a POC kid was unlearning the hate you instilled in them. By Black Swan on top. Black Swan on top.
Wow, that's a crazy, crazy, crazy quote. No, I do think it is important, and I'm glad that they did. I don't know if they're going to read multiple comments. I guess we'll see. Maybe just this one or not. But I do think it's important that in some way they highlighted the conversation that was going on from their black fans, black viewers, POCs in the comment section. Because again, I think they needed that other perspective. And I think the way they're addressing it here very quickly after the first one, they very much so knew that they had to. So I think reading a different perspective, even if it's just one, it should be multiple, but even if it's just one, is important to their overall conversation.
Here's another one.
Okay, it's great if they're doing multiple.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Very
fair,
good point.
for sure. I mean,
People
yeah.
making excuses saying these people are very young when they tweet out these things. It's like the people on the receiving end were also young. Like the people that your racism is targeted at, I'm sure when you were in school, and like, I'm sure it caused some damage. So yeah, that's a very, very good point.
I think honestly, people go, oh, what's with young kids being racist? I genuinely think that like, she goes, what's with young people? Like, is that normal? And I think like to an extent, well, no,
so.
back like in the 80s, I feel like people were still more racist.
Yeah, but Brooke Schofield was not raised in the 80s.
Like now, this new
definitely.
generation is definitely way less racist and more woke about like the stuff they say. So like, I do think there's been a change in the culture.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they obviously,
And that change in the culture would have been during Brooke's time. It was the argument that was being made.
Not defending her, I'm
obviously
just
different
saying.
places have different cultures about it. Like I grew up here in Los Angeles. I have pretty progressive parents and everything. And I remember from a really young age, you know, I mean, really young age, like, you know, in elementary school and like when I was like 8 or 9 years old, being told emphatically that, you know, the N-word is like one of the worst things in the world you could call somebody, especially a black person. You should never do that. Like that was like taught to me. Now, you know, that is in Los Angeles with like progressive parents, you know what I mean? Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, I think in a lot of places.
And I mean, again, I would love to hear other people's growing up stories about this, because I guess we're so used to influencers blaming racism on the way they were grown up. again, speaking personally, I grew up in a very, very, very small city. I mean, what is the population of Derry? What is the population of Derry? Derry population. It might actually be quite big, but it feels smaller. Derry population, about 80,000 people. That's not much. That's not much. And there are so many issues in Derry. There's so many issues in Derry. But I remember from a very, very, very young age, my nana would take me to a Sunday school. And the Sunday school was very, very, very diverse. And I remember from literally being like, oh my God, I would have been so young when she would have started taking me to it. And, you know, she would purposely put me in classes on the Sunday school where I would be surrounded by a very diverse group of people. And I'm so grateful for my nana for that, because when I look back on it, you know, my schools were very, very, like, I think about this all the time. A lot of the schools in Derry were very, very, very white. Like, my primary school was very, very, very white. And even my secondary school as well. Like, and they were two Catholic schools. But I was always so grateful that my nana always, like, put it out of her way to put me in situations where I would meet more diverse people, because I think back on just how white my primary school was specifically, and I'm like, what the hell was going on? Like, it was so great that I was being included in so many conversations, from like my nana bringing me to Sunday school, and my parents wanted me to be in the Sunday school, just to kind of hear other people's experiences growing up. And I grew up alongside these people. I'm still friends with these people. And I always, you know, would be in conversations with their parents whenever I was very young, because my nana would be talking to them. And I just think that while you can be brought up in a way where you're, like I'm saying, where you're being, you know, put in so many diverse situations, which is so good, I also just think as well that it's very easy to not be racist. And for people that, you know, blame being racist on family members or their upbringing, again, like so many people were commenting on my YouTube video, they grew up in very racist households and they chose not to be racist. You know, it's very, very, very easy to not be racist. It's very easy. And I think a lot of people just ignore that fact as well. So anyways, I think Dan's saying this where we can talk about like our upbringing and stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, it is very easy to not be racist. So
in the country, a lot of people, maybe Brooke is one of them. I don't know anything about Brooke, you know what I mean? But
I'm not even talking about her. I'm just
in general.
like,
yes, I think that, you know, there was sort of like a learned racism for a lot of white kids. You know,
well, in the 80s, Jim Crow was only like 20 years before that.
Right, exactly. Like those parents grew up with that. So yeah, it's not exactly universal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The lived experience of people growing up.
Sure, yeah. Obviously, a lot depends on where you grow up.
Yeah.
But I do think there's been forward movement in terms, and again, I'm speaking as a white person, so I don't really know. But it seems to me like young kids today wouldn't be making jokes like that, I think. But I mean, right?
Yeah,
We're not
I
young
hope
kids.
not.
I don't know.
It could be like the democratization of the internet, where people are more exposed to different opinions and people and stuff.
You know, I play a lot of video games, and I can say from, obviously you interact with a lot, let's say Call of Duty, voice-enabled games. There's a shit ton of racism on there still.
Yeah,
from
that's true.
young squeakers who like sound like they're 8 to 15. From that angle, I don't see any difference from now and when I was younger and playing. It's horrible.
Gamers are
Gamers are a different breed.
It's
That's
so
why we
bad.
call them gamer moments, my
Yeah,
friend.
yeah.
No, you're right. It is concerning. The sexism, the homophobia, and the racism in the voice games
Yeah.
is nuts.
Yeah, and sometimes I go, like I played Overwatch for a while. Not as much racism there. And then when I go back to Call of Duty, I think things have changed. I was like, wow, we've come so far. No, still as bad. You know? It's like nothing
Call
has
of Duty's
changed
ever
on Call of
changing.
Duty, yeah. So, yeah.
Duty.
Yes, that's true.
Just a different perspective, though.
Carnivore
Here's
Dad
another
fixed
one
that.
from. Let me open this one.
All those call players just try the carnivore diet. Fix racism
Chica?
forever.
Carnivore Dad will fix that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Chica, Goss, Penguin,
Okay, I'm really glad that they're reading our comments.
18.
Chica.
Yeah, well, you
Like,
put
there's
it
no
that way.
space. How do you know it's not Chica Gosby?
Penguin.
How do you know it's not Gosb? Chica Gosb Penguin, 18, bro. She says, Ethan's perspective is definitely clouded because he sees himself in these canceled racist people. Since he himself has to apologize every once in a while for what he did in his past, he wants to preach that everyone should just let the past die. Dan is right about the Brooke tweet that faking about liberal, woke, or whatever to get ahead. There's no way of knowing if she's being honest now. She's labored herself as someone who cannot be trusted on face value. Also, she's still actively liking Trump posts even today. I read that and I was like, no way. Like, that can't be true. That has to be an exaggeration. But
it just seems so mind-blowingly stupid.
It is true. She did.
I guess by her own admission, it was.
Yeah. And Tana as well. It hasn't even been 48 hours since her apology video, and Brooke is already liking tweets, posts, etc. Also, it's hypocritical for Tana and Brooke to use the she was 18, young, dumb, and college.
I have been seeing a lot of people making this argument where a lot of people have been focusing on the fact that, you know, people are excusing Brooke and Tana for things they've done in their past by saying, well, they're 18 or 19 when they tweeted it. And even Ethan said that yesterday, you know, 19's on the cusp of knowing is what he said, which was awful. And I think that that's such a good argument that people are making that in Cancelled, their podcast, they have came after people who are 18 or 19. And I've been seeing those people have been making TikToks basically making fun of Brooke and Tana over the last couple days by being like, oh, so you're allowed to be dumb and naive at 18, 19, but you're allowed to send a hate mob our way. And it's definitely a good argument to make that you're only young at 18, 19 whenever it applies to them.
When they've actively attacked and sent their fans to hate on other young women, such as Alabama Barker, Travis Barker's daughter, when she was just 17. It's giving white women...
Oh, I've served her at California Pizza Kitchen. I used to work there.
Oh, really?
Alabama Barker?
Yeah, I believe so. He used to come in with his daughter.
Wait, Travis Barker? Wait, who's Travis Barker?
The drummer for Blink-182.
Oh, so what did they say? They sent their fans to hate on other young women. So
saw an opening there. I had to interject.
So what did Okay, so Alabama.
It was frivolous drama. It was like she unfollowed her, like said something maybe nasty, and then she was called out on the podcast.
Okay. And when she was just 17, it's giving white women tears of justice for me and not thee. Ethan knowingly is understating what Brooke did and continues to do in order to stay cool with Tana. But the reality is it is not for him to give his opinion on whether or not the canceling is justified because the derogatory comments and hatred is not directed at him. Even her being pro-Trump will not and does not affect him. If Trump gets elected, Ethan, a white man from California, will be fine. Okay. I don't think I was actively running defense for her. I don't know why I was getting like defensive for some reason about her. Potentially because it's possible that I see myself that I've been through a similar thing. You know what I mean? I feel like I came out the
I
other
think
side.
that's probably fair. Like, yeah.
But I kind of like, obviously I understand what you're saying, but I don't believe what did she say? Actively running defense for her so that I can be cool with Tana. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I don't really give a fuck what. And I'm not invested in the welfare of her. I don't know why I was getting so defensive about it, though. It's probably has something to do with the first thing they mentioned more than anything. But
why am I still getting hate?
But yeah, I mean, everyone's different. All the situations are different. So, you know. But yeah, I fully acknowledge that it's not my place to forgive, to make that proclamation that they're like forgiven or something. You know what I mean? For sure. For sure. So thank you, Chica. Thank you, Chica Gosbing. Thank you, Chica Gosbing, 18.
And there was one more in here, and this one I saw that you liked. Really. You gave it the official little heart.
I was, okay, let's take a look. Yes, I did. I was responding to some of them, too. Like, oh, was this the one where she explains?
You replied to this one.
I said it was like the Da Vinci Code of racism. Yeah,
you did.
Because
Okay, again, I think that for Ethan getting called out on behalf of, you know, the comment section was very much so, like I said, the black fans, the POC fans. I think allowing them to have a voice here of reading out exactly their words and then responding to it, I think is quite honestly probably the best thing they can do in response to the backlash now, instead of what we see so often is kind of speaking for people and then kind of excusing yourself. Whereas directly hearing from people that would be annoyed at what you said or upset by what you said, I think is very important. So I do think they're handling this very, very, very well.
We were trying to figure out the exact like point of the gorilla with the graduation cap. I knew it was like racist, but I didn't understand all the like deep level layers of racism.
Okay.
And
this decode that?
She was able to decode this for us.
Okay.
So she says, "Happy Monday, family. H3 Black correspondent checking in once again." Shout out. That is now an official title for
Kirsten Michelle.
Kirsten. We love that about you. Thank you. On a fresh rewatch of the live, just wanted to chime in about the tweet mentioned at this time, Brooke Schofield. It was mentioned in the chat, but I want to highlight here why this tweet is so bad, in my opinion, the worst of all of them. The context of the tweet is that it does reference the Mike Brown murder in Ferguson in 2014. As we saw,
I didn't even know this.
This time hyper-focused on the wrongdoings of the victim of lethal police violence, with the implication being that the victim somehow deserved their untimely death at the hands of the state. This primarily happens when using mugshots as standard pictures of victims, labeling teens as men and women, and talking at length about the victim's previous run-ins with the criminal justice system before their murder. To counteract this and to highlight the covert racism of the media's handling of this story, Black Twitter advocates and activists used Mike Brown's high school graduation photo to dignify him.
I remember saying that all the time.
And show him in a more positive light. With that in mind, the tweet is posted just days after the gorilla Harambe is shot for violently grabbing a young child that climbed into his enclosure. Adding a graduation cap to Harambe and labeling it as the photo CNN doesn't want you to see makes a joke at the advocacy.
It's all clicking for me. I get it now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Makes a joke at the advocacy previously mentioned.
It was already bad with the context that I thought it was, but now it's even fucking worse.
Implies that Harambe being killed to maintain control over a potentially dangerous situation and the unjustified murder of marginalized people by police officers are the same. Not to mention the old-timey racism of comparing black people to monkey and apes. That's like, I was like, yo, that is like, fuck. I commented. What was it? What did I say?
You commented back saying, "Holy smokes, that image is the Da Vinci Code of racism."
It is. There's like deep lore, bro.
Really, really disturbing.
She continues, ultimately, all of the tweets are horrible and deserve to be addressed. As a black person who believes in rehabilitation over criminalization, I also feel so apathetic to white creators apologizing for being racist. Brooke deserves the opportunity to show people through her words and actions that she's changed, more educated and more empathetic, but I also don't care about Brooke enough to witness it happen. Thanks for reading. Have a great week. I thought this was I really liked this comment, and I respect, and I like all the comments, but this one I thought was...
well, they decoded it.
Yeah,
so I mean, that was
Wow, the context of that is so disturbing.
Yeah, that is I said the I faked liberal views in college was the worst one. That one's the worst one.
This one is worse.
That one is
understand
definitely
it.
the worst one.
You need to go to like school for racism to figure all that out.
Yeah.
That's intense, man.
Well, just the context in which it was tweeted was essential. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So there that is. So thank you very much.
Again, the reason that this Brooke stuff goes so deep is with white influencers, we're so used to, unfortunately, seeing them just tweet slurs, which is terrible within itself. But with Brooke, we've seen something we don't see often, which is an influencer tweet things about specific things that have happened, and the racism has like many deep layers of racism. You know what I mean? Tweeting a slur is horrible, and then tweeting about a specific incident that has happened to the black community on an act of racism, and then making fun of it by being racist, and also directly making fun of black people. Like, there's just so many layers with the Brooke stuff that, like, no. That's why this is just so much more.
Kirsten Michelle. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And then there was, I guess there was a lot, but those are the ones that I just wanted to highlight, to share some black voices, to give a more holistic...
I think it was very important for them to do that.
And it
became a black person.
yeah, there it is.
So she apologized, right?
So now so now we have more to watch. So she put out after her first apology, I feel like there was a very mixed reaction now. I mean, my reaction was like, because again, she made these really like good comments in 2020, but
that she may have been faking.
Yeah. After reading some of the comments after, I felt like I had more insight, into
Sure.
the people who were not forgiving her.
Yeah.
And so obviously there was a mixed reception there. So let's see. Brooke puts out another apology. So let's see if she clears things up. Let's see.
Now again, even Dan was saying about the first apology being bad, where he was like, why is she focusing so much on her family? You know, focus on yourself.
You guys, I want to talk about my last video, okay? Because I am listening to everybody, and obviously I am reflecting and looking back on it, and I do agree with everyone that I missed the mark. I obviously saw everything that was going on, and I saw how hurt everybody was.
Oh no, Logan. It's giving Logan
No,
Paul.
Dobrik.
I missed the mark.
I missed the mark with that one.
Yep.
You got to take that out of the apology.
Oh,
video.
no.
Let me hear that again. You got to pull that, Zach.
I obviously saw everything that was going on, and I saw how hurt everybody was by it, so I felt like I just had to put something out as soon as I physically could so that nobody thought I was ignoring the situation or didn't realize how, like, important it was. But as a result of that, I put out this, like, very emotional, scrambled video where I essentially made none of the points that I should have been making. First and obviously most important thing is that I'm...
Yeah.
Cute cat.
She just got that cat.
Manipulative.
Nice try. Yeah.
She just got that cat?
She did just get that.
For this video?
No, girl, it was before.
Okay.
I think.
You have a morals of an alley cat.
Was it before or
That's a
after
cute cat,
the
though.
2020 tweets?
Can we go one episode without talking about fucking cats?
Sure, I know. I know, it's a problem. But that was cute. Look at this cute cat. Where did she come from?
Sweet kitty.
The most important thing is that I'm so sorry, specifically...
Well, two things I want to do before I die of fucking whatever kills me. I want to have a cat and I want to have a golden retriever.
Aw, I think that would be wonderful.
Where did this come from? Well, I know you've been warming up to the cat idea for a while, but a golden retriever?
I've always wanted a golden retriever.
I love golden retrievers, and I absolutely adore German Shepherds. German Shepherds, my dream dog.
I don't have a hair phobia or anything, so. I know, like, my mom, for example, would freak the fuck out if, like, dog hair got all over her furniture.
Oh, I see.
But I'm cool with all that stuff. I don't care. But anyway, back to Brooke.
To comments and people saying that they forgive me and it's all white people, and that's how I know I did not address this properly at all.
That's a good point.
So I want to be clear that this is directed specifically to black people and other people of color, and I'm not seeking white people's understanding or forgiveness or approval or whatever it is. Now, sorry is not enough, in my opinion, for the way that I was tweeting and the things that I was saying online at that time. And I know that there's no apology beyond, like, reparations that can mend that wound. I don't care if I was a teenager, I was old enough to know better, and not only did I choose to say those things, I chose to say those things on a public platform, and I am very, very ashamed of it. Especially sorry to those who were affected in real time, because keep in mind, I had friends and family who were following me at that time and would have been hurt by those tweets, and I feel sick over that. The tweets were racist, okay? There's no getting around that. They cannot be dismissed as jokes or political opinions or anything else. It was racism. In my last video, I put all this emphasis on my family thinking it was going to, like, provide context, but instead it just made it look like I was pointing fingers and, like, placing blame, and that was exactly the opposite of what I should have been doing. The fact of the matter is nobody forced me to tweet those things. I tweeted those things on my own, and the blame is on me. A conscious choice to not learn about politics until I was a young adult. But that did not stop me from tweeting political opinions. I wanted to appear that I knew more than I did and that I was educated, and instead I was spreading harmful, very, very harmful misinformation. I had all the educational resources available to me to learn what was right, and I chose not to. However, the murder of Trayvon Martin has nothing to do with politics, okay? The murder of Trayvon Martin was a hate crime, was horrible, and he did not deserve it, and no black person deserves it. When it happened, I repeated disgusting misinformation on a public platform, and I'm genuinely so disturbed by that. I truly cannot believe it. It makes me sick, like, truly sick to think about it now. Now, I mentioned in my last video how I didn't really, like, open my eyes until after college, but I want to make it clear that when I say that, I'm referring to hate crimes in particular. It wasn't until after college that I realized how prevalent police brutality is and how common hate crimes are. It's constantly happening. I think a lot of people felt this way, but the murder of George Floyd shifted my mindset completely, okay? Because that's when I started to really research and learn what it was like and what it looked like to be anti-racist. I started to seek out my own resources and learn what reparations looked like and learn what I could do as a white person in situations like these. And I'm really, truly ashamed that it took me that long. I talked in my last video about how I grew up in a Republican household. And I didn't say that because I think all Republicans are racist, but I just wanted you to know that those are the only conversations that I had been exposed to. Then I went off to college, okay?
I mean, at this point, in 2024,
There's a certain
you got to
lack
be
of
a
empathy.
little bit
You
right.
could say majority.
Republican. I would think I could comfortably say the
Just
majority.
all of them.
I mean, if you're voting for Trump at this point,
Didn't you hear Trump? He's the greatest
jury isn't
president.
really
Hold
out
on,
anymore,
Dan.
you know?
You did not hear him. He is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln for blacks.
Oh my god, I forgot that he said that as well. Me and my mom were watching it on the plane. We had our earphones in, and we both just looked at each other. We just looked at each other.
Him say that, and that's actually part of the reason that I'm saying this.
Mm.
That's actually part of the reason that I'm saying this.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. That's a good point.
And I went to college in Arizona, which is still a red state, but Arizona is also a state with a lot of diversity. And I was a public health major where so many elements had to do with race and racial inequality. I learned so much during that time, you guys. It was actually really eye-opening for me because
Here's where that tweet comes up to bite her in the ass again.
my entire life that completely shifted once I started to learn like things from other people's perspectives. So much of what I previously had believed to be true changed, and I started paying attention to things that I hadn't before. And I acknowledge that I was an adult at this time, and I had all the resources in the world available to me to educate myself prior to college, and I chose not to, and for that I am sorry. Really, really wish that I had. I wrote my college thesis on racial disparities, so how things like
Here's where that tweet comes up again.
health,
Right, so this was the
housing,
clip from-
income, and so
Right. Which she kind of undermines herself pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
many other things can be affected by your race. I didn't stop learning there, and I don't plan to stop learning about these issues ever. I truly mean that, and I know a lot of you aren't going to believe me, and I understand that, but I do care about these issues. But I don't want this conversation to be over, honestly. I'm not posting this video to make everything go away. I don't want to try to get myself uncanceled, but I know there are a lot of people like me who are still working to unlearn the inherent racism that we possess still. While I know that I've changed, I also know that there is a lot of work to be done, okay? There is a lot that I could still do that I have not done yet. I promise you that I will. I have been and will continue to look into reparation initiatives to share with you guys, as well as figure out ways that we can give Black creators more visibility, because we know that's a major problem in this space. I want to do everything that I can to show you that I am not the person that I was in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. I am not. I understand that there are people who are never going to forgive me, and I do not fault you for that at all. At all. But I truly am so sorry. I am sorry for the words that I said. I am sorry for my racist past. I am sorry for the people that I hurt. And I want to do everything I can to earn back your trust, because it really is very important to me.
We need our Black correspondent to share her thoughts.
Down in the
Yeah, I
comments
mean,
below.
not
Share your
our-
thoughts.
not
down
an
in the comments
apology.
below. You know, I mean, the first half of that was like pretty strong, I would say. As an apology, I'm going to rate this as Sig Heil in Seattle would. You know what I mean? Just in terms of like, there was a lot of just like no excuses. I did these things. I'm ashamed. I was wrong. You know what I mean? A lot of jump cuts, which, you know,
Right?
not everybody can smoothly talk for an extended period of time. So I don't want to deduct too many points for that. But it always makes it feel less genuine when it's edited. You know what I mean? But then
Also a fair
she
point.
veers off into like her journey to not being a racist piece of shit. The whole like college thesis thing, when one of the tweets that you're getting canceled for is lying in college about your beliefs, probably shouldn't have mentioned that.
That was
probably
not
should have
good.
just not
That was
mentioned
not
that part. Yeah, that
I did
kind of
feel,
took a nosedive after that point.
Yeah.
She also said that the George Floyd thing changed her mind. That was like in 2020. Like 4
No,
years
she
ago.
did. No, the opposite, right, Nate? No, she said the George Floyd thing was when she started.
But I'm
to,
saying that was so recent.
yeah, I mean,
2020. Well, that's when her supportive tweets started
right.
appearing. So I think it was that. Was that recent? Yeah, I mean, it was 4 years ago. Obviously.
But again, there's something so bizarre about like praising someone. I'm not saying they are. I don't think they are at all, but there's something so crazy about like her fans praising her for like changing her mind and stuff. And we're literally talking about 2020. Like we're in 2024 right now. Like we're talking about less than 4 years ago. Less than 4 years ago was when she actively stopped being racist. Like, 2020, 4 years ago. Like, she's approaching like her 30s now. Like, that's a long time.
Dave just donated 10 pounds and said, "I didn't see the apology. Please, could you rewind it?"
Oh, Jesus. You know, you
Let's
have
take it
that
from the top.
ability as well. You can,
Take it from the top for Dave.
you can rewind it. All right, fuck it. For Dave, I'll do it. Let's go back.
No, please.
Anything for you, Dave. Nope. Yeah. I don't know what to say or think about it, frankly.
I'm sorry.
I guess she's just got to prove to people that
Oh, what?
that she's being authentic. I mean, you know.
Oh, we have something. Ooh, we have something very interesting that has come through in a super chat. We're investigating now.
Transvestigating? That was another story I wanted to talk about.
We'll get to that next.
I just learned about the transvestigators. It blew my mind. It makes me want to go.
Prove this.
Please reach out.
We're
Please.
very curious. Yeah.
Please reach out. This
Openly admit that they are there to do that.
What?
so.
What?
yeah, They definitely go ahead, Zach.
No, what would he have been arrested for if it wasn't for meeting up with a minor, though?
What are we talking about?
That's good.
We want less racism in the world, not more. Like, we should be welcoming of that.
Yeah.
If she continues to completely diverge from the self we saw on Twitter, then good.
Then that's great, and we love that.
Yep.
Do we forgive her? That's not up to me. That's a different question. So there it is. Is that all the updates? We have a few. There was other stuff here. Let me see. We've got more.
I think their way of handling it here is so much better. I think they've hit all the marks. I think allowing, black voices to be heard through their comment section by platforming the comments. I think saying that, yeah, well, we're going to have to see if she changes. We can't be the ones that decide that. I think they're like hitting all the parts, and without comparing them to Trisha, that is exactly what Trisha did. I'm not saying they copied Trisha, and ultimately it doesn't fucking matter. But what I'm saying is Trisha, who's one of Brooke's friends, was literally saying, yes, the tweets are bad. I can't forgive her. And I think that is very, very, very important as white creators to do when you're covering this, is to not offer your forgiveness whenever it's not for you. Like, it's not for you.
Brooke also says she has donated and will continue to donate to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. Let's see, there's another one.
Like I said, I think reparations are more important than apologies. So I have already donated to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. Literally the first thing I did. And I'm doing my research. I'm looking into other communities and foundations that I can help with, and I will continue to do that. Like I said, in any way that I can help, I will help.
Okay. Good.
Okay, I have their messages that they sent to Avery.
Holy shit, I cannot fucking believe this is happening. You see, it's a good thing we watch all this bullshit.
Yeah.
This could be a huge deal.
Okay, so they texted and said, hi, I'm the one who left the super chat. They said, there's as much proof I have that the screenshot is as much proof they had that it was real. He unsent stuff because he was clearly very shaken up about it. Okay,
I don't think that's about Brooke. Okay, again, I think they handled this so much better than their first one. I think it was very important for them to do. I'm glad they did it. I'm sure those who were in the comment section being very upset and trying to, get them to address this again are, relieved in some sort of way that they're not just dying on the hill of just like forgiving Brooke and being like, okay, moving along, cancel culture. I think they handled this very well. I want to know your opinion on it. So we'll talk about it down below. I appreciate you being here, and goodbye.